اللهم صل على محمد وعلى محمد.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والحمد لله رب العالمين. صلى الله عليك يا سيدي ويا مولاي يا رسول الله. صلى الله عليك وعلى آلك الطاهرين. السلام عليك يا أبا عبد الله وعلى الأرواح التي حلت بفنائك. عليك مني سلام الله أبدا ما بقيت وبقي الليل والنهار، ولا جعله الله آخر العهد مني لزيارتكم. السلام على الحسين وعلى علي بن الحسين وعلى أولاد الحسين وعلى أصحاب الحسين ورحمة الله وبركاته. قال الله في كتابه الكريم وهو أصدق الصادقين: بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. اقرأ باسم ربك الذي خلق، خلق الإنسان من علق. اقرأ وربك الأكرم الذي علم بالقلم، علم الإنسان ما لم يعلم. صلوا على محمد وآل محمد.
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد.
The first verses revealed from the Holy Quran that the Prophet's mission began with started with the word read. It is also translated as recite. And it brings us to an important point. What was being commanded of the Prophet? What was he asked to do? Was he asked to read something? Was he asked to speak and say something? And this brings us all to another part of the discussion. Could the Prophet read or not? In the Quran, he is described as Ummi, and Nabiyul Ummi. And in Arabic, common Arabic language, Ummi means illiterate. And the Prophet, through hundreds of years of history, has been referred to as the illiterate or the unlettered Prophet. We'll refer to the second part, inshallah, in a little while. The first part of the discussion. What was the Prophet commanded to do? It is said that the Prophet began to speak of the revelation. But was he receiving the Quran piece by piece? Or was there a complete revelation before that? And he was ordered to only preach it piece by piece. The majority of the Imami scholars say that the Quran was revealed in one go to the heart of the Holy Prophet. He received it in one go. Yet he was only commanded to reveal it to the people bit by bit, in certain occasions, at certain events. And so when we are saying Iqra, or when the Holy Quran is saying Iqra bismi rabbika alladhi khalaq, read by the name of your Lord who has created. It actually means recite, Ya Rasulullah. Go out and begin the message, preach. So here the Iqra does not refer to him looking at something and reading of it. It is saying what we have already descended upon your heart, go out and speak of it, reveal it to the people. So this is the first point of this discussion. The second point, could the Prophet read or write? If he could read or write, why have the majority of the historians say that he is an illiterate man? And why does the Quran refer to him as An-Nabi al-Ummi? That part is easy to answer. An-Nabi al-Ummi, Mecca was referred to as Ummul Qura, the mother of all towns, the mother of all villages, the mother of all cities. Why? Because in Arabia, no matter which tribe you belong to, no matter which god you worshipped, once a year you had to go to Mecca. Because the idols were housed there, because trade took place in Mecca, because the center of Arabia itself was Mecca. This is where people would go. And the only place that had any water in all of Arabia was Mecca, at the well of Zamzam. Because everywhere else you go, inshallah, you got a chance to go to Hajj or go to Umrah, you'll see Arabia is a desert. No rivers, no lakes, no fresh water. A very few places where you reach oases or springs. And the most famous and the most well-known one that was on the pilgrimage route from north to south and east to west was at Mecca. So all of the people of Arabia used to make their way to Mecca. That's why it was called Ummul Qura, the mother of all the towns, the mother of all the villages. So An-Nabi al-Ummi, because he comes from Ummul Qura, An-Nabi al-Ummi. So that's why he's called An-Nabi al-Ummi. The second part of it, would you trust a man to lead you? Would you trust a man to teach you? Would you trust a man who said Allah created the earth in 6 days and created the heavens and so, that the name of the son of Maryam is Isa, the name of Prophet Musa's father is Imran. Would you trust someone to give you this information if he could not read and write? Would you believe a man? Today's world, would you believe somebody who said, come and give me your money, I will invest it and I'll make millions for you, thousands for you. Forget thousands of millions, I'll make you a 5-6% annual return. Would you trust someone who could not read and write? What about the person who's telling you, invest in your hereafter? Everything you have in this life, give it to me and I'll give it back to you in the hereafter. What an investment. But would you trust him if he could not read and write? Ajib. You wouldn't trust someone with £500 these days if they can't read and write. You trust your entire religion. You, your family, your children, sometimes your tribe, your city, everything for the hereafter to someone who could not read and write. It's impossible. Logically, we're thinking about logically, that's number one. From evidence, in the time of the Prophet, the Quran was being collected. Every time he revealed a verse, a chapter, a surah, a part of the Quran, it was being recorded. 4 of the Ansaris, 4 companions who were in Medina, recorded it, plus Amir al-Mu'mineen salamullah. He would record the Quran with his own annotations and explanations and commentary. And exactly what the reason for the revelation of this verse. In the Quran, several times we see it is referring to a man, a person, but it doesn't say what that person's name is. Amir al-Mu'mineen would ask the Prophet, Ya Rasulullah, what is that referring to? Who is that person? He would say, Fulan ibn Fulan. And he would make a note on the side. He would annotate the verses of the Quran as they were revealed. He collected the Quran in chronological order. The Prophet would review it. Amir al-Mu'mineen says, after the death of the Holy Prophet, I knew it was time, or the Prophet knew it was time for his death, because he used to review the Quran once a year with Jibreel. Except the year that he died, Jibreel asked him to review it twice. And Amir al-Mu'mineen says, when I used to record the verses of the Holy Quran, I would show the Holy Prophet. And the Prophet would look, and he would say, yes, that's right. What you have recorded is correct. Why would Amir al-Mu'mineen show it to the Prophet? Why would the Prophet look at it? And how could the Prophet say yes if he could not read and write? That is number 2. Number 3, on at least 2 occasions, there needed to be recorded documents where there was a treaty, the Treaty of Hudaybiyah, for example. There were other treaties, the Constitution of Medina. Everybody should refer to this document. When the Prophet first arrived in Medina, there were terms drawn up. In this country, or many countries where you go to, when you want to buy something, when you enter into an agreement, what do you have to do? Read a contract, sign at the bottom. Does anybody these days do this and sign? Impossible. You need to know what you're getting into. You might not read every single thing, but you want to be, what is this? I'm selling something, I'm selling my arm, my leg, my house, I'm buying something, what is it? Rasulullah, the Treaty of Hudaybiyah, how would he put his name to a document? Muhammad Rasul Allah. That is what it said. Muhammad Rasulullah. His signature was that. How would he agree to sign something if he could not read its contents? Today you wouldn't do it to buy something worth £5. Rasulullah would make the Muslims enter a treaty that he could not understand? Impossible. So this is evidence. There is more. I don't want to get into a prolonged discussion on this. But the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi was somebody who could read and write, but he did not make use of it. One of the reasons he did not make use of it was that if he was known as somebody who was already a poet, somebody who was already a teacher, somebody who spent his life creating nice poetry or sermons, when the Quran would have been revealed, they would say, oh, it's the same as that. He's been doing this for years. Muhammad has been teaching this, or, we know he's a good poet. We get him to write our letters. He's excellent at doing this. So nobody would be able to say, this is, oh, mashallah, this is the Holy Quran, because Muhammad has been doing this for so many years. So this was one reason. Number 2, the Holy Prophet, without reading and writing, was accused of being what? A madman, a magician. Even though he proved clearly he'd never written anything himself. Even though he never showed people that, yes, I could read and write, he was still accused of bringing the Quran from himself. These are Muhammad's words. He has invented them. He has enchanted our young ones. When they managed to bring one of the men of Quraysh, who was very well known for his literature skills. His name is Al-Walid ibn Mughira, the father of Khalid ibn al-Walid, this great general in history, supposedly. His father was a man of literature. The Quraysh said to him, look, this Muhammad ibn Abdullah is becoming dangerous. Go and collect some of what he recites and analyze it for us. You're the best one of us in the Arabic language. Al-Walid ibn Mughira came, took some of the verses of the Quran and went away for a few days. He came back, He was dazzled. They said to him, what is your response? He said, this is not the work of Muhammad. He said, this is not the work of Muhammad, but this is not the work of any man either. None of us, we are the masters of Arabic. In Mecca, the people of Quraysh had the dialect that was common amongst all the Arabs. They had 7 poems that they used to hang on to the Kaaba, called Al-Mu'allaqat As-Sab'a. The 7 hanged poems, because they were so eloquent. This is in the Jahiliyyah period, before Islam. And then Walid Mughira says, I'm an expert. This is not from the Prophet. This is not from any other man. They said, Walid, what is this? You have become one of his followers? He said, no, I'm not going to become a Muslim, but I can tell you, this is special. This is not from some person. They said, what shall we say? He said, because it's so special, let's accuse him of being a magician, a sorcerer, someone who entrances people, he has tricks and he can do something special, extraordinary. We accuse him of doing that. So this is another reason why the Prophet, though he had this skill, did not show the skill. Even then, he was still accused of inventing the Quran, writing it himself, and even some Orientalists till today, today's the year 2013, go and look at some of the books published on the history of Islam, go and look at some people who write the biographies of the Prophet. Unfortunately, the majority of them are non-Muslims. Yahud and Baha'is and all sorts. They become experts on the Holy Prophet, and unfortunately some of our own people who are very learned, very eloquent, their works don't come out. So inshallah, we encourage our community members themselves to write about the Holy Prophet, not wait for someone who's residing in Washington DC to write something and then explain to me who the Prophet was. I should know him myself. I should know the Prophet like I know my mother and father. I should know his life story from before he was born till he died and everything that occurred after he died. When I wake up, I know all the titles of the Prophet. I remember all the stories of the life of the Prophet. I know exactly where he was in this year Hijri. I know what he used to eat, what he used to drink. I know what his manners were like. I know how he used to respond to the rough person, how he was kind to the poor person, how he used to sit with the rich. I know all his behaviors. And today, when I'm in this world, which is becoming more and more difficult for us to live in and raise our families in, we say, yes, the Holy Prophet, I remember, yes. With so-and-so, he did this. When the Shaykh of Quraysh came and sat with him, he acted in this way. When the month of Ramadan came, he advised his children to do so-and-so. When he went on the Hajj, this is how he did it. When he stood up for Salah, this is the dua that he recited before the Salah. When he did his wudu, he did it in this way. Make him relevant to today's life. Don't read just the stories and we sit and we say, wow, wow, mashallah, look at the Holy Prophet, and that's it. No. Today's children, they want to know. Why should I idolize the Prophet? Why should I look at the Prophet as a role model and not somebody who has number 7 on his back and has a 50 million price tag because he plays for some football team? Why should I follow the Prophet and not one of these people? Make him relevant. Tell me about him. Explain him to me. Don't give me a book and say, go and read it and I have to work it out for myself. I attend the majlis, I don't understand. Explain to me. Give me real life examples of the Holy Prophet. So this part about the Holy Prophet being literate, inshallah we've answered that. Inshallah everyone's clear that this is not one of the characteristics of the Prophet. So, اقرأ بسم ربك الذي خلق خلق الإنسان من علق. Brothers, these are the first 5 verses of the Holy Quran. First 5 verses revealed. Surah Al-Alaq 96, verses 1 to 5. Please, make sure you read these first few verses. These are the first words ever revealed. So the second verse of it is, so the first starts off with اقرأ بسم ربك الذي خلق خلق الإنسان من علق. Created man, created human, from cloths. SubhanAllah, look at what Allah does in this verse. He shows what the completed article is. Man, human, full set of organs, not a boy, not an infant, a full-grown man. Full set of organs, capabilities, senses. He says that, the final product, we created it from something you can't see. Cells, cloths. So look at the link he's making in just a few words. خَلَقَ الْإِنسَانَ مِنْ عَلَقٍ. This great person that you see, some of them could be famous warriors, some of them would be able to lead men into battle, some could do so-and-so. Alhamdulillah, today we have geniuses that are capable of doing so many things. We created them from things you cannot even see. A few cells that are clotted together and begin to make some more cells, eventually lead to some embryonic stage, and then slowly some organs. And when that final creature comes to being, this baby, he cannot feed himself, he cannot take care of himself, any virus could endanger his health. If it gets too cold, he cannot survive. If it's too hot, he cannot survive. He cannot go 2, 3, 4 hours without milk. Eventually he becomes this great creature. He walks as if he owns the land. He starts commanding people. He might go around killing people. He might take people's wealth. But then eventually the curve goes back down again. We make him old, weak, maybe senile, he loses his mind. His children start taking advantage of him. His things go away from him. The minute he dies, people cry for him. 1 week later, la ilaha illallah, what happens 1 week later? The brothers argue with each other. This is mine. No, my father wanted this for me. And the wives, they go and get married again. The houses are given again. You're buried under the earth. Come and see the body after a few months. What has happened to it? It is rotted. It has gone back to a worse stage than it was an embryo. It is now rotted. Come back after tens of years, you won't find anything there. So Allah takes you on this great journey, but brings you back down again. Remember this, when you're at the peak, don't forget what the bottom was like and is going to be like. So in this verse, اقرأ باسم ربك الذي خلق خلق الإنسان من علق. He's reminding you because he's setting you up for something. You'll see in the next verse. خلق الإنسان من علق. اقرأ وربك الأكرم. Recite, O Prophet, go and tell, because your Lord is most generous. Why most generous? Firstly, He has been generous enough to send us a prophet. He didn't have to do that. He could have said, you need to know. Look at what's around you. See a sun and a moon and an earth. See that rain comes down, that food is provided for you. Look at all this. You need to work it out. You need to worship. Instead, He sent you somebody, and the best of creation, to make it even easier for you. SubhanAllah. Look how many, He's like giving you an exam and putting the answers right next to it. And say, here you go, you can get 100% in this exam. And I wonder at anybody who, after hearing 124,000 prophets have come to us, still says, I don't believe in Allah. I don't understand this. It makes no sense. It needs more evidence to prove that Allah does not exist. You have to work 10 times, 100 times, 1,000,000 times harder to try to prove that there is not a God. Because for everything you need to come up with an explanation. Oh, it must be this, or it could be that, or maybe there's another reason for it. Whereas it's easier to look at things, so obviously there's a creator. If I walk now in front of you with shoes that have paint at the bottom and you see my footprints, what do you say? What has been here? You say a man has walked past. On these black sheets here laid down on the ground, you see footprints, you say obviously there was a person here. When we see a cobweb, what do we say? What do we say? There was a bear that came in? We say there was a spider. Why? Because we can see the footprints, the athar, the effects. When we look and see sun and moon and earth and rain and food, all of this, and we can't think that there's someone who made this, who left it there for us? SubhanAllah, it takes more effort. I don't understand people who say there is no God, there is no evidence for God. No, the opposite. There is so much evidence that unfortunately some people, they want to make others lose their faith because they have lost their faith. Faith is a blessing. Having faith, you work for 50, 60, 70 years, 80 if you live that long. You have this faith, you're rewarded for eternity. Only a few years of hard work, my brothers, not longer than that. But some people, they have faith and they lose it. Like who? Like Zubair. Zubair is the cousin of the Prophet. Zubair was in the house of Fatima al-Zahra the day she was attacked. He came out and defended Fatima al-Zahra. He was one of the few loyal companions of Amir al-Mu'mineen. He was going around telling the people, look at the tragedy of Saqifa, how they took the right away from Amir al-Mu'mineen. Yet, a few years later in his life, he took the sword and walked into the battle facing Amir al-Mu'mineen. He lost his faith. And then after that, even though he did not take part in the battle, he walked away finally when Amir al-Mu'mineen reminded him, someone shot him and killed him with an arrow, he died. He died having lost his faith. After all these years of jihad, hijrah, he went into battles, he was scarred. The companions noted him for his bravery, but he lost his faith at the end. So brothers, if you have faith, alhamdulillah, this is grace from Allah. Keep it, keep hold of it, don't lose it. If you don't have faith, inshallah, go looking for it. Don't go around telling other people you should lose faith too. And brothers, these are dangerous times. Possibly not the right time to discuss it here, but I counted the other day, there were 11 different movements here in London. One of them saying there is no Imam Mahdi, the other saying there are 12 Imam Mahdis, one of them saying that we are in contact with the spokesman of Imam Mahdi, one saying that the Imams are not infallible, one saying we should do so-and-so to the Khulafa, one saying no, the religion needs to be formed in this way, one of them says taqleed is haram, one says the only way is to... I counted 11 movements. One of them says let's be like the Sufis. 11 movements here in London. Some of them had satellite channels, some of them have centers, some of them had millions of pounds from Allah knows where. It's becoming dangerous that all of them say we are the Shi'i, Ithna Ashari, Ja'fari, Imami school. SubhanAllah, how difficult does it become? That in these days you have so many people claiming to be the truth and the right. So it's become difficult. So please, if you have faith, keep hold of it. Treasure it, guard it. If you don't, go seeking for it, but don't discourage other people, because you are definitely on the wrong path. The fact that these 124,000 prophets came in, some of them suffered what they suffered, some were killed, some were massacred, so that you could take it lightly and say, yeah, there is no God, and that's it. I can prove it through. There's a big bang before then, yeah, it was an accident. No such thing. Show me some real evidence. Go to make an effort. Don't just say things and take away. Do you know how big the galaxy is? Do you know how many millions of planets there are? It is very, very likely there is life somewhere else. Do you think that's it? There's all this galaxy, all these creations were just for you and me? No. Rabbil Alameen is a creator. Allah knows what He's created outside of us. Allah knows what He created before us. We've heard of the dinosaurs, haven't we? Have we seen them? They were before us. Goodness knows what was before them. Goodness knows how many other earths are out there. Goodness knows how many Adams are out there. So don't take it lightly. Oh yes, let's have ishkal, let's have doubts about Rabbil Alameen. He doesn't answer my prayer, I'm upset with Rabbil Alameen. Why should I pray? I don't feel like it because I failed in my exam, because my mother fell ill, because when I requested this, it didn't happen, I did ziyarah, and I didn't get married, I did this and nothing. No such thing. You have an obligation for your own sake to be thankful to Allah. Allah gains nothing from you. Whether you pray, you don't pray, you give zakah, you don't give zakah, you go to hajj, you don't go to hajj, what does that affect Rabbil Alameen? He gets nothing from you. You have every need of Him to pray, to go out, to seek, to pray, to worship. Seek the path of Allah, you gain yourself. There is a hadith that says ibadah, worship is of three types. The first is the ibadah of the slaves, the worship of the slaves. They worship because they're afraid. There is a master who is going to torture them or punish them, so they're afraid. This is the first type. And he says this is the most common. The second type, the Holy Imam Sallallahu. The second is the worship of the merchants. They give and take. I give you 2 rak'ah, you give me 10 thawab. I recite this much Quran, you give me this much. Why? Because I can add it up, inshallah I'll go to Jannah. Again, very common. What is the least common? The third type of ibadah, that is probably the ibadah only for the ma'asumeen and the companions and the people close to the Ahlul Bayt. It says they worship Allah because He deserves to be worshipped. Not because they look for recognition. Look at me, I wear the nice clothes, I have a nice beard, I wear rings, I'm smiling, I'm a mu'min. They don't need that. Oh, look, I'm going to do i'tikaf in a masjid, I'm going to pray 100 rak'ah because it's the month of Ramadan. No. They worship Allah because He deserves to be worshipped. They worship Him when no one is looking. When they put their family to sleep. When the town has gone quiet, when the eyes have closed, the Quran describes it as. And people have gone to sleep, the mu'mineen stand up. These are the mu'mineen. The Prophet says if there was going to be a salah that was going to be wajib, it would be salat al-layl. This is the hardest one. And only the mu'mineen pray salat al-layl. You've heard the hadith of Imam Hassan al-Askari. He says the signs of the believers are 5. Imam al-Hassan al-Askari says the signs of the believers are 5. And you know all the signs, inshallah. One of them is to say Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim before every action. Number 2 is the sign of prostration on the heads. So often you do sujood, there is a prostration mark on your head. Number 3, you wear a ring, an aqiq, preferably on your right hand. Number 4, you do ziyarat al-arba'een, because this is the ziyarah that the Ahlul Bayt started off. And number 5, you pray 51 rak'ah a day, salat, 51. 17 are the wajib, 34 are the nafila of fajr, nafila of dhuhr, nafila of asr, of maghrib, of isha, and salat al-layl. You add these up, there are 51 rak'ah. He said these are the mu'mineen. This is only a short description. But how difficult is it for someone to pray 51 rak'ah every single day? Difficult, not easy. But the people that pray salat al-layl, they are fortunate on the day when we have to walk past hellfire and we do not know where we are going, their faces are brightened like a torch so they can see which way they are going because they prayed Salat al-Layl. They can see where they're going. Yes, I'm going the right path or I'm going to fall into hellfire. Because I prayed Salat al-Layl, Allah brightens my face, makes it like a lamp. This is the benefit of Salat al-Layl. So Allah, اقرأ وربك الأكرم. He's being generous because He provided us a prophet who's going to recite these verses for you. And He's been generous, why? الذي علم بالقلم. Because He teaches you through the pen. He's being generous to enable us to learn, to record things. And this is a very important point, brothers and sisters. That Allah looks and judges you according to your capabilities. He doesn't judge you. Let's say I have a great intellect, a man of genius. What do I decide to do? I decide to sit on welfare, make my wife go to work, sit at home, smoke cigarettes, watch a bit of TV, and live my life like that. My children work, my wife works, I sit at home. Do I have a brain? I could go out and write books, I could teach, I could invent things, I could manage a Fortune 100 company. On the Day of Judgment, Allah will look and say, yes, okay, no major sins inshallah. Yes, you've done enough to scrape into Jannah, but hold on. I gave you this brain, I gave you good health, I gave you a physical, able body. What did you do with this? How did you spend your time? I didn't do anything bad with it, yeah, but you didn't do anything good with it. You wasted your time. Allah will judge each person according to their capabilities. Every single person has a capability. There is nobody in this world that does not have a capability. Even the person that is paralyzed, even the person that has no abilities to sense and move, he has a capability. Allah rewards him with something else. Usually find the people that have lost one of their key senses have strengthened in something else. The people that are blind have better hearing. Yes? The people that have bad hearing sometimes have better eyesight. The people that are disabled, they have a very high intellect, mashallah. A lot of people writing books and they're very eloquent. Allah takes something but gives you something back. So He will judge you according to the skills and the capabilities that you have. Not, oh, I didn't do anything bad. So Allah gave you a chance in this life. He gave you an opportunity to do something with yourself, to affect other people. Otherwise, you're a waste. What is the difference, with all respect, between you and the animals? They eat, they drink, they procreate, they spend their time with their tribe, family members, and their routine is the same every day. If you become like this, what is the difference between you and the animals? But Allah didn't give the animals the capability of intellect that He gave you. So that means He wants more from you. He doesn't want you just to eat and sleep and procreate and start again the next day. He wanted more from you. So brothers, when we say Allah has been generous, it comes with strings attached. He's been generous. But He wants to see what you have done with His generosity. Have you wasted it? Did you waste your health? Did you waste your wealth? Did you waste your intellect? Did you waste your time? Most people now you bump into, what do they say? If you say, I haven't seen you, oh brother, I'm so busy. There's not much time. What have you been doing with your time? If it's teaching, learning, taking care of your family, going out for halal rizq every day, inshallah. But if you've been messing around on chat, Xbox, messing around with your friends, watching TV idly by, downloading episode upon episode of some useless TV show, what is going to happen to you? Allah will judge each of this. The Holy Prophet says, divide your time into 3 parts. 1 for yourself, 1 for your family, 1 for your Lord. So 1/3 of your day, so 24 hours, 8 hours need to go to your Lord. How many of us give 8 hours to our Lord? I don't. It doesn't even add up to 1 hour a day. So what am I doing with the rest of the 23 hours? The majority are for myself, a few hours for my family. What am I doing for myself? How useful is it? We need to gauge this because Allah is recording everything. Everything gets recorded. You think mankind now has great ability, great technology. They can track which website you go to. They can track what time you logged in. They can track what you were reading. Yes? They can read all your emails now. They can hear all your phone calls. Very, very technology. What do you think Allah is doing? How much more surveillance are you under? When you're logged in and you try to find a way of getting away from the authorities, how much information is Allah logging against you? Everything. And He knows your intention as well. He knows what's inside the heart. Even though you think no one else understood it, Allah knows what's in your heart. He says in the Quran, نَحْنُ أَقْرَبُ إِلَيْكَ مِنْ حَبْلِ الْوَرِيدِ. This jugular vein that you have here, He says, this one that is attached to your body. You can't become closer than this. This is your body now, yeah? The jugular vein one's here. This jugular vein, I am closer to you than that. I'm inside you, I know exactly what's going on. I can read this, I can read this. So where are you going to go from his surveillance? So make use of your time. الَّذِي عَلَّمَ بِالْقَلَمِ He taught you through the pen, through recording. He taught you to put down the information and to read it and to teach other generations. Again, this is a reference to the Prophet not being illiterate, because why would the Quran address him and say, the Prophet, that Allah has taught you through the pen? It would not make sense. At this point, we look at how many great scholars that we have, or had, that dedicated their life to reading and learning and teaching. The hadith says, the hadith of the Imam say, 3 things will continue after your death. The first is to have a son or a child, a good child, who will pray for you after their death. So when you are dead and buried, people will see your child, your son, your daughter, inshallah, say, MashaAllah, Allah have mercy on your father. You give your time of the week, Thursday or Friday, to your father or mother. You give them one day a week. You sit, you recite Quran for them. If you're able to visit their grave, you visit. If you're able to do something in their name, give out some food to the poor, give some zakat, hold a majlis, make some of the mu'mineen's lives easier by giving something to them. This means they're still alive. Because of Hajji Fulan, the people currently are benefiting. So you're still alive. Number 2, ilmun yantafa' bihi. Knowledge that people benefit from. Inshallah, some of the people that go to university here, the young ones, those of you who study humanities, you'll see the name Aristotle come up. In politics, in sociology, in philosophy, in Greek history. He's been dead over 2,000 years, over 3,000 years now. But when we read his works and we discuss, it's as if he's in the classroom with us. We discuss, oh, we don't agree with this, I'm not sure about this point. Every student that has come since 2,000 years ago has read the works of Aristotle. He's alive today. Because we are reading his work, discussing with it, as if he is alive today. And the Imam says, this is the second thing that will outlive a person. You die, but these things make you as if you are alive. Ilmun yantafa' bihi. Knowledge that can be made use of. Writing a book. Opening a school so people can study there and learn. This is why so many people dedicate schools and give money towards schools. Writing a book, publishing Quran, publishing hadith, encouraging people to translate works, giving your time to the madrasa. Let's not take the madrasa as a chore. I can't understand these kids, they drive me mad. The madrasa, and you inshallah, some of you have had the pleasure, I've had the pleasure. I've taken people who are 7 years old, mashallah, they're now 20, 23, and they have their own children now. And they still call me teacher. MashaAllah. I taught this person, look, he's a grown man in his own right, calls me teacher. The Prophet says, مَنْ عَلَّمَنِي حَرْفًا مَلَكَنِي عَبْدًا. The person who teaches, or the person should say, a person who teaches me, owns me like a slave. Because he taught me, he's taking control of me now. I owe everything to him. What is greater than knowledge? So, at this point, brothers and sisters, we should take it upon ourselves to do one of these 3 things, and if possible, all of these 3 things. So the first was to have and raise good children that will pray for us. Number 2 is to leave behind some knowledge, whatever we can, even if it's sponsoring knowledge. If we cannot use the own knowledge that we have, let us sponsor someone else. There are brothers and sisters wanting to do masters and PhDs. Unfortunately, the fees are very high in this country now. They're looking for sponsorship. We should encourage our young brothers and sisters to come forward. We will help you with your university fees. We'll make sure that all the Shia are highly educated. The sisters in Turkey, when they were forbidden from taking off their hijab, I know one of the good scholars, he said, no, go. Go to university, take off your hijab, go and learn. What they want from us is for us to become ignorant. They're trying to prevent us from learning so that we become a generation of slaves. No, go and learn. It is more important that we learn and be able to lead our generations than fall behind and become one of these cultural religions. And then eventually their sons don't know what's going on. And then they change their names and they become everything like the enemies of Islam, only in their skin color, which we want to avoid, inshallah. So this is number 2, giving knowledge that can be benefited from. Number 3, sadaqatun jariyah, a sadaqah that doesn't stop giving. Example, what is a sadaqah that does not stop giving? Masjid, mosque, Husayniyah, center, Imam Burger. It doesn't stop giving. Every time someone walks in, you get someone counting thawab for you right away. Imagine you had 10,000 people walking in. Imagine you had 500 people walking in. And someone sitting there clocking thawab for you. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Multiply that by a year. Multiply that by 10 years. Alhamdulillah, in this country, some of the centers are 30, 40 years old. Back home, Pakistan, Iraq, some of the mosques there are 300, 400 years old. The masjid of Shaykh al-Tusi is 1,000 years old. When he died, he made a will for himself to be buried in his house and a mosque to be made there. It's 1,000 years old. And I go there regularly. The premier dars, Baht al-Kharij, the best dars that you can get in the house is done at the mosque of Shaykh al-Tusi. Sayyid Muhammad Baqir al-Sadr, the Shaheed, used to teach there. Some of our great scholars used to teach there. Al-Akhund al-Khurasani from over 100 years ago used to teach there. Today when you go, you'll see it's right opposite the Haram of Amir al-Mu'mineen. Hundreds of Musallin, hundreds of people go to pray, hundreds of students. This has been happening for 1,000 years. How much thawab does Shaykh Tusi have? Even if he didn't write books, even if he wasn't Shaykh al-Ta'ifa, Shaykh al-Tusi was a great figure, even if he wasn't that person, how much thawab does he receive just from building this mosque? Sadaqatun jariyah. And when you go inshallah to the Ziyarat al-Arba'een, you see people starting off their journey from there. Some people sleep by the doors of the mosque. Some people go and do wudu, some people start their prayers there. So mashallah, till today it's been made use of. What else? Hospital. If you build a hospital, how many people can get treated in it? How many people whose lives are about to end are rescued at the last minute there? How many people are diagnosed and their lives made better there? How much will they pray for you? We say Mustashfa, this hospital was made possible by the donation of so-and-so. How many people will pray for you? Even if they don't, the angels will pray for you because you made sure this person was healthy. If it wasn't for you and making this hospital, they would not be this healthy. What else is school? Saturday school, Sunday school, madrasa, primary school, secondary school, college, university, Islamic school, Quran school, whatever you want. Maybe make it for 10 children, make it for 100 children, make it for ulama of the hawza. How much thawab will you get? How many generations? We have schools in Najaf, 200 years old. You have schools in Lucknow, 150 years old, 180 years old. Until today, students are in there reading the knowledge of Ahlul Bayt, salawatullahi alayhim, till now. So this is the third thing, my brothers and sisters, that Allah has been generous to us. We need to make sure that we take this knowledge that He's given us and capabilities and apply it. Let's not be greedy, because when we're greedy with what we have, either we will lose it to bad health as we described, we fall off this curve, or someone will come away and take it from us. Being greedy is not going to keep what you have. You'll lose it somehow. Some of the great kings in the old times, they used to collect their money and hoard it up. Allah sent creatures that would eat this money. And the kings were astounded, they went mad because they stored up for years and years. Finally they went into the vaults and they found most of their money is gone because Allah sent creatures to eat them. So don't waste your time hoarding up money. And be careful. One day you will be challenged by someone. It could be your son, it could be your daughter, it could be the Maulana in the mosque, somebody, it could be your friend, it could be your brother. Someone will challenge you and say, what have you done with your life? What have you done with yourself? Hisham ibn Abdul Malik was one of the rulers of Bani Umayyah. He was known as being very miserly. He had a lot of wealth when he was the Khalifa, the leader, and he would not spend. A famine came upon the eastern lands. So Bilad Faris, Persia, and parts of Iraq suffered famine. First year, second year, third year, the people, they started dying in their thousands. A group of them said, let's go and meet the Khalifa and explain to him what's going on. He can't carry on like this. So they entered. It is said that most of them were the tribal leaders. One of them was a 14-year-old boy. Hisham was upset. I'm Khalifa, what's this boy coming into my midst? So he says to the chamberlain, he says, MashaAllah, everyone has come in, even the little boys. The young boy hears this and stands up. He says, oh Khalifa, where have you got your money from? Because for 3 years now, the first year, I lost any meat on my bones. The second year, I lost any muscle. And this third year, I'm losing my bones. I'm going to die. I'm dying of hunger. Where have you got your money from? If it is from Allah, then we are servants. Give us some of the money. If it is the people's wealth, then give it back to the people. If it is your wealth, then you have to give sadaqah and zakah because Allah has ordered you to. Hisham could not say a word. A 14-year-old boy taught him what to do. Be careful, you don't want to be in that situation where somebody will come and speak to you like that and warn you what you're doing is wrong. You should be ahead of the curve. It could be your own family, it could be your friends. So don't put yourself in such a situation where you're wasting, not taking advantage of your life, not taking advantage of your capabilities and the knowledge that you have. So we go back to the ayah, اقرأ باسم ربك الذي خلق خلق الإنسان من علق اقرأ وربك الأكرم الذي علم بالقلم علم الإنسان ما لم يعلم. Taught man, taught human what he does not know. Now this is part of it as well. Anybody out there who claims that I receive ilm from this and I receive ilm from that, we put a question mark against them. Who's your teachers? Where have you learned from? What is the methods which you gain this knowledge? Knowledge to us, the common humans, doesn't come like that. We have to learn it. We have to go out and extract it. It doesn't come into our heads right away. So anybody out there, and again this is a warning to all the trends that are out there unfortunately, anyone who promises too much, who shows that he has, I have excess knowledge, where have you got this knowledge from? Who's your teachers? Even if you claim to be from a tariqah, show us who your masters are, who your teachers are. Where have you got this knowledge from? It's not easy to get knowledge, brothers and sisters. So Allah has taught humans what they did not know. There is nobody out there, apart from the ma'asumeen, that has knowledge from Allah directly. We have to go out and try to learn it. Whether they're alim, whether they're someone who's a genius, whatever they are, they had to learn this to get it. The exception are the Ahlul Bayt. The Holy Prophet was challenged more than once to prove his knowledge. Once a person came to the Prophet and he said, Ya Rasulullah, I have a question. What is the best place on earth and what is the worst place on earth? What did the Prophet respond? He said, wait, let me ask. There is no shame in asking, brothers. There is no shame at all if I do not know to say I don't know and I want to learn it. Rasulullah, the best of creation, said, wait, let me ask. He turned to Jibreel, he said, what is the answer? Jibreel said, wait, let me ask. He went to Rabbil Alameen, got the answer, revealed it to the Prophet. The Prophet answered the man. He said, the best place on earth is the mosque. The worst place on earth is the market. Why, Ya Rasulullah? Because you go to a mosque only for the sake of Allah. There's nothing you can't buy, you can't sell, you can't have fun. You go there for the pleasure of Allah, which is the best place. And the worst place is the markets. People trying to make an extra pound here, people trying to defraud people, lots of mixing and gathering, people making false claims. Wallah, this is the best on the market. Wallah, this is brand new. How many times do we hear this? So the worst place is the market, and the best place is the mosque. But look, the adab of the Prophet, he said, wait, let me ask. There is no shame if we say, wait, let me ask, let me check. Because only the Ahlul Bayt have that ability to communicate with Allah. Nobody else does. That means for us to say, yes, I'm an intellectual, yes, mashallah, I'm knowledgeable. We say, okay, have you worked for it? Show us. Where did you get your knowledge from? Did you make your time at school worthy? Did you go to college? Did you go to university? Did you make the best of your abilities or not? Having knowledge, brothers and sisters, is supremacy. What is probably one of the most famous hadith that we have about Amir al-Mu'mineen? What does the Prophet say? أَنَا مَدِينَةُ الْعِلْمِ وَعَلِيٌّ بَابَهَا. I am the city of knowledge, and Ali is its gate. This is one of the most famous ahadith. Why? Because he's showing that Ali is the door to the Prophet, Ali is the successor to the Prophet, Ali has the knowledge of the Prophet. When the companions, when we put them and compare them to the Prophet, who can say they are more knowledgeable than Amir al-Mu'mineen? If there is someone more knowledgeable, please, brothers and sisters, if there is someone more knowledgeable than Ali ibn Abi Talib, let's go follow him. Let's not be blind in our faith. Show me a companion who is more knowledgeable in Islam than Amir al-Mu'mineen, and we'll go and join him. I'll be the first to join him. I'll be the first to worship this companion. Show me him. Show me where he is, I'll follow him. It doesn't exist. Because the Prophet knew what he was saying. He knew Ali was the most knowledgeable of them. When the angels said to Rabbil Alameen, why are you creating these creatures? Why are you making this Adam? You know that they're capable of killing, they're going to bring mischief. What did Allah say to them? He said, you will see. I have knowledge of what you do not know. He brought the creatures. And he said, Adam, what are their names? And he began to describe the creatures' names. He brought him plants and foods. He said, Adam, what is their names? And Adam was able to say what their names are. He said to the angels, what now? Do you know what the names of these are? They said, we do not know. We have no ability to extract information. So didn't I tell you? He said, subhanAllah, yes. Surely we do not have the knowledge that you... So what did he favor Adam over the angels? Because of his knowledge. And at this point, this is what human can become. Better than the angels or lower than the animals. So let us not go down. Let's make sure our gradient, the curve that we take, goes up all the time, inshallah. Make use of the knowledge that you have. Imam al-Hussein, salamullahi alayhi.
Allahumma salli ala Muhammad.
Imam al-Hussein, when he departs from Medina, he knows full well what he's going into. He writes a will to his brother Muhammad al-Hanafiya. He says to him, إني لم أخرج أشرا ولا بطرا ولا ظالما ولا مفسدا إنما خرجت لطلب الإصلاح في أمة جدي أريد أن آمن بالمعروف وأنهى عن المنكر. By Allah, I have not gone out to make mischief, to be an oppressor, to take advantage of people, to spread corruption. I've gone out to bring the ummah back to the original state that the Prophet left it in. And then he writes to his brothers. He leaves more than one brother in Medina. He writes to them when he departs from Mecca. He says, whoever comes with us, there is death. But whoever stays misses the victory. What victory? Is going to be massacred in the desert, you might say. What victory is this? There is a victory. There is a victory that's lasted till today and will last after our deaths. But he knew what he was getting into. He knew where he was going. He knew what costs. When you want to buy something from the store, you look at the price tag, yes? Which one of us goes and buys something and doesn't look at the price tag? Every single item from £1 to £1,000. Don't we check the price tag first? We're going to buy chewing gum, 60p. We look at it, 60p, okay, we go and pay. No one of us goes and gives the money and doesn't check what price it is. Yes? What about Imam al-Hussein? He's saying to people, there is a price that I'm going to pay. I know what this price is. Just like you know when you pay, I know what the price is. It is my death, the death of my sons, the death of my family, my women being captives, my children being trampled by the horses, the family of the Prophet being exposed to all these evildoers. But I know the price. I'm going to pay it for you to benefit from. So having this knowledge, brothers, this is the end of this verse. Having knowledge is a crucial step. Imam al-Hussein salamullah alayhi leaves in Medina a daughter called Fatima. Fatima al-Sughra. Fatima al-Alila. She's the young, the ill Fatima. She holds on to her father's clothes as he's leaving. She says, Abba ya Hussein, oh grandson of the Prophet, don't leave me here. Who will I stay with here? You've taken all the children with you. You've taken my aunts. You've taken my brothers and sisters. And you leave me here in Medina? وَمَا لِيَ فِي الْمَدِينَةِ? What is there for me in Medina? If I'm ill and die on the way, take me with you. Imam al-Hussein says, no. This journey is only for those who are able to take its hardship. You will stay and you will speak about us after our deaths. And Fatima al-Sughra used to go after the death of Imam al-Hussein. She used to go and stand outside a house. You know this house. She used to stand outside a door and recite and tell people about the Al-Bayt. You know which door it was? It was the door of Fatima al-Zahra. She would go outside the house of Fatima al-Zahra and stand and say, Assalamu alayki ya Fatima. And the people would hear and come to her. What is going on? She says, this door has seen tragedies. This door has seen masa'ib. Do you know what happened only a few days after the death of the Prophet? When Rasulullah was resting in his grave. Do you know what kind of people came to the door of Fatima? قال سليم قلت يا سلمان هل هجم القوم ولا استئذان. Sulaym ibn Qais asked Salman, what's happened here? Do you know what happened? Is it true that people entered without permission? قال إي وعزة الجبار وما على الزهراء من خمار. Yes, wallah, it is true. And Zahra was wanting to cover her face, so she took shelter behind the door. La ilaha illallah. Behind the door, the enemies see her and they crush her against the door. And she called out, Ya Fidda Asnidini, Fidda, help me. فَقَدْ وَاللَّهِ سَقَطُوا جَنِينِي. They've made me miscarry my child. These days, brothers and sisters, that we remember Imam Hussein, we remember where it started from. It started from that day. When the Prophet was just dead a few days, they go and attack his daughter. If that could happen, then of course they could
massacre his grandson and grandchildren. Fatima to Zahra says, Fatima is a part of me. Whoever hurts her hurts me. These people are killing the Prophet. These people are killing Islam itself. Hussein Winni, wa ana min Hussein. Subhanallah, what kind of jur'ah, what kind of audacity these people had. So inshallah, on these holy nights of remembrance, let us make sure we have a clear understanding where the dhulm started from, where the masa'ib started from. Who were the people that turned against the Prophet? And who were the people that maintained their path on the Prophet's path? وآخر دعوانا أن الحمد لله رب العالمين وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد وآله الطاهرين.